Hello, welcome everybody. Let's see. Let's make sure that this posted on Twitter. And it did. Okay, let's give it a few minutes here. Oh, hi, Sin.
Hello.
He's another fellow author in the community. And so how are you doing this evening, Tim?
I'm terrific, thank you. How are you?
Doing well. Just like we were talking before the stream, just battling this heat in California. But I guess I should be used to it.
How bad is it out in California?
Well, in my old hometown, which is the desert, it actually hit like 108 today. Here we're cooler, so it probably got in the 90s.
Oh,
Hi, Phoenix. Welcome, Phoenix. Yes, a stream. It's nice to see you back on a stream, Phoenix. Overseer,
hello.
hi. I remember you were at Basic. Let's see. Oh no, you got hurt. I hope you feel better soon. Okay. Just making sure I set up some last minute things. And then we'll get started.
No problem. Hello, everyone.
What's the weather like where you're at? Because you're on the East Coast, correct?
I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Connecticut. Today it was very gray and in the 70s, although before that, for the past several weeks, it's been much higher in the 80s and 90s. So today was a nice reprieve.
Oh, so you guys aren't that different from us.
Nope.
Except you guys get that muggy kind of heat, huh?
Yes, very humid.
Oh, I can't do it. I'll take this heat any day. Oh my gosh.
And you've got the view of the Pacific Ocean, which I imagine.
Yes, we do. We do. However, I hear that the views, in the Atlantic Ocean are very gorgeous. I think your water's clearer than ours. I think that's what I heard. I don't know if that's true.
I think so. I think that's correct, but I'd still love to see the Pacific Ocean one day.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I should actually post on my Instagram the pictures I took this weekend. I was out by the beach this weekend. I don't live that far from it, so it's kind of nice. But I feel bad for the people who are landlocked. They have no coast.
They got nothing but annoying neighbors in neighboring states.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, guys. So I think we're going to get started with today's interview. I think I posted this in the description, but I have decided that I'm going to start interviewing other people that contribute to the horror community in YouTube. And this week we have an author, Mr. Tim Sonski. I think many of you are familiar with his work on Unit 522's channel, Rake versus Dogman. It's pretty popular in the community, so if you haven't heard it, I highly suggest that you go check it out. Many of your favorite narrators actually were part of that entire project, myself included, and many of the bigger narrators as well. So you should definitely check it out. It has some good highlights, I guess, of everybody's talents. They really shone through.
Okay. That's absolutely right.
Yeah. I mean, you guys had so many people involved in that. It was a huge project, a huge undertaking. So we're just going to jump here into the questions. What made you start writing fiction?
I first started writing fiction back in the early 2000s. I was in high school, and the Lord of the Rings movies had just started coming out, and I remember watching them and falling in love with them. I went back and I read J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, and I just had a desire to I wanted to expand upon the stories and the characters, and I wanted to be involved in his Middle-earth creation. So I started writing fan fiction for Lord of the Rings. I started writing little short stories of my own, entirely for my pleasure, not for any school project or to share with my friends. Mm-hmm. And that evolved to writing, fan fiction for other things I enjoyed, like Firefly, for example. Ooh. And just whatever I felt like writing. I wrote stories about knights and dragons and wizards and things like that, and all just for me. And I enjoyed doing it so much because I wasn't very athletic. I wasn't very technologically savvy, so I just enjoyed the peace and quiet of being able to just either by hand or on the computer, just bring worlds to life and use my imagination and create.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing feeling as a writer is being able just to create entire worlds, from your mind. I think it's kind of magic, honestly.
I think it
As
is too.
as silly as
Absolutely.
that sounds to some, but I think it's kind of magic how you could just bring all of this to life with your mind and by just writing it or typing it. What made you get started writing horror stories?
Um, Back in around the 2012, 2013 area, I started getting involved in creepy pastas. I heard about certain internet sensations like Slender Man, for example. And I was interested. I heard them and I read them and I thought, these are interesting. I said, but the problem I had with most horror stories is that the characters were very bland, kind of generic. You don't care about them. Most of the
Yeah.
story relies heavily on a twist ending or it relies upon the gore factor. And I could always see that coming. So I decided, you know what, let me try writing horror stories. So again, just for myself, not for anyone else's approval, just because I enjoyed doing it. I started writing horror stories. And I would mix up the concept. I would make the heroes a little bit more dark instead of just meat victims for the monsters or the
Just one
psychopaths
dimensional.
too.
Hmm.
Yes, so many horror movies, they're one dimensional. And I wanted it to be a little bit more complex and be a little bit more interesting. So I started writing horror stories just for me. And it never even really occurred to me that I should start sharing them with people until later on when Unit 522 and I began talking.
I see. Is there something that's prevented you from posting them on a blog or having your own website?
Honestly, probably not. If I had had the inclination, I probably could have started my own blog at any point, but honestly, just deep down in my heart of hearts, I never thought anyone would have any interest in them whatsoever. Because even though I enjoyed them, I thought my writing as a whole was probably pretty mediocre compared to what was actually being narrated online. And it took me a while to realize most of what's online, it's not that it's bad by any means, but it's very quick and very easy to listen to and very entertaining. It's not very deep or philosophical. And I've decided, oh, well, you know what? My stories might just find a place here. So it was my own laziness or not thinking outside the box. I never put up my own blog or my own website or anything like that.
Okay, I see. Do you have a muse?
I do have a muse, and her name is Lindsay Sterling. Lindsay Sterling has been my muse for several years. Do you know who she is?
No, I'm not familiar.
Lindsay Sterling is a dancing violinist who originally got her start on.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about. I think, funny enough, I think she was a commercial before one of the YouTube videos today.
Oh,
And I
really?
don't, yeah, I don't think there's too many dancing violinists out there. Just gonna throw that out
Mm-hmm.
there. So I'm pretty sure it was her.
Yep, it
How
probably
funny.
was. She originally got her start on America's Got Talent. She didn't win the competition, but that's where people first noticed her. And since then, she's gone on to become a YouTube sensation. She has been my muse for several years. She is a lovely young lady who decided to do something entirely unique, something she enjoyed, which was playing the violin while dancing, not using like so many other pop stars do nowadays, not using necessarily her body in any kind of sexual way to gain attention, just her talent and her modest and very lovely demeanor. And she's so, so thankful and so grateful for her fans. And she's all around just a I've read her book and I've listened to her interviews, and she seems like all around a great person. And just her uniqueness and her drive is what has inspired me to write and to keep challenging myself and keep doing what I enjoy doing, not necessarily looking for the approval of anyone else, but just doing my writing and writing what I enjoy because it's what I want to do. And I have never met her in person. I was at a front row seat in one of her recent concerts.
Oh, wow.
Um, but I hope to meet, and she's an amazing talent. Everyone check her out on YouTube or buy her CDs. But I hope to meet her in person one day and hand her a bouquet of flowers and say thank you so much for inspiring me.
Okay. That was not, I mean, I wasn't going to say an unexpected muse because we all have different muses, but it's very particular and it's not something I'd heard of before and literally had not seen until this morning. So that's amazing that, you go so far beyond
Mhm.
what you do to find a muse.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I have several authors who I'm a very big fan of, and I would very happily meet them and tell them thank you for inspiring me to write. But my greatest muse would definitely be Lindsay.
Okay. All right. That's awesome. What inspired you to write Rake versus Dogman?
Immediately after Candyman versus Slenderman came out, Candyman versus Slenderman was the first story that Unit asked me to write for him. And it came out, I think it came out very well. Unit thought it came out extraordinarily well. And there were several people in the comment section who enjoyed the story so much. The very first thing they started asking is, Tim, are you going to do another Versus story? And I said, yes, I'd be happy to do another Versus story. I don't know who I'd do. I'd have to give it some thought. And someone in the comments mentioned you should do a Dogman versus Bigfoot. And I said, well, that sounds interesting. I'm like, but the problem I have with it is that the monsters are a little bit too similar. I said, I want to do something a little bit more original. I want to do something that no one else could possibly think up, no one else has done before. And I don't want the story to just be a generic monsters fighting. I want it to be a real epic adventure with interesting characters who have character arcs. And I wanted to raise the bar. So I did a little bit of research as to what was popular in the creepypasta community. And I'm like, oh, the Rake. I'm like, wouldn't the Rake be a brilliant adversary for the Dogman? Because I don't think anyone has ever put those two in a story together. And I formed the story of this female bounty hunter named Murray, who is on her own personal journey. Her and her bounty hunter brother are out looking for the Rake, and the Rake, of course, is a metaphor for her own guilt about how she and her mother unfortunately ended their relationship before her mother passed.
Uh-huh.
And the Dogmen, of course, add most of the action and most of the scares in the story. And I'm very pleased with overall how the story came out. I think it's very unique. I think it has some very in-depth, original, exciting characters. And I think it's a story that people are gonna want to go back and revisit over and over and over again. And I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, I have I guess I'm curious to know how long the entire thing is in its written form.
Um, in its written form, it
Hmm.
is about 200 pages long.
Oh my. I figured it was going to be something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fascinating to me how much creativity goes into something like that, honestly. I mean, the narrators definitely brought it to life, but they needed your writing in order to bring these characters to life. So I figured
Mm-hmm.
that, as far as it, the script, it was going to be something fairly long.
Yes.
So,
Part three was the longest part, and it is well over 50 pages.
oh my goodness. What drives you to continue a story like that? I mean, is it just from the get-go you already know, how this is going to begin and end, or do you just make it up as you go along? How do you keep yourself going until, it's finished?
The Rake versus Dogman, I wrote a full outline first. Before I started writing, I wrote an outline for each of the four parts. And then I started writing chronologically, parts 1 through 5. My drive is I like to challenge myself. I really enjoy writing. I always want the next story I write to be better than the previous. I want it to be, in 20, 30, 40 years, what I'll be remembered for. Obviously, I hope I'm remembered as a really nice guy who was friends with quite a few people and touched a lot of people's lives for the better. But I also want them to think back and say, what a terrific author, well, someone who can inspire me and who we can learn from. I love the intellectual and the creative challenge. And with Rake versus Dogman, my drive was constantly, don't disappoint the fans, don't disappoint the narrators who are taking their time out of their day to act out your characters. Don't disappoint anyone, but most importantly, don't disappoint yourself. Write the best possible story you can.
Wow. That's an amazing way to look at it, because some people, I mean, obviously you don't want to disappoint yourself, but you also threw in there the fact that, you don't want to disappoint the fans. And I think some people who write kind of lose sight of that sometimes, especially with such a huge project, but it's great that, you keep your audience in mind and you keep yourself in mind as well. Now that Rake versus Dogman has finished, do you have any other major projects in the works?
I do, as a matter of fact. I have at least 3 projects on the horizon for Unit 522's channel. One of which I'm very excited to announce is going to be a choose your own adventure story.
Oh,
We
nice.
drop a chapter on YouTube, and via the comments or via Unit's Twitter page, the listeners can make a decision, either A or B, as to which direction the story goes. And that's coming pretty soon. I've got the outline already. I start working on it next week, which is my vacation week. And I've got 2 other creepypastas on the horizon with Unit as well, in addition to several of my own stories, which I hope to share with other horror narrators. I just shared a different story called Voicemails in the Dark with Eden on her channel. I'm hoping other horror narrators on YouTube, if they're interested, I'd love to share my work with them as well.
Yes, that was another question that I was wondering about. How do you select the narrators that you want to read your stories, or do they contact you? How does that work? Because so far I've seen your work on Units and Eden's channels, but I don't think I've seen them anywhere else.
Almost all of the narrators were chosen by Unit for all of the stories, including Rake versus Dogman. In Rake versus Dogman, mostly what I just did is I asked Unit's opinion. I asked, who do you think would be the absolute best for the role? And he gives me his suggestions, and I say, okay, I trust you, let's go with it. For Rake versus Dogman, I asked Eden if she would be the lead role as Murray, because I was a big fan of Eden's channel already. Very fortunately, she took the role. For the role of Keller, we had several people audition. Unit ultimately left the final decision up to me, so I chose Red Tide 7. I thought he fit the character very well. And the character of Murray's mother in part 4, Penny Dreadful Moment, I think she was the only one in the entire project who I chose without consulting Unit. So that was about it. Everyone else and all the other stories, they're all Unit suggestions, and so far I think they've all been winners. When I asked Unit for part 5, I said, who would be a great Brianna for the very end, and he didn't even hesitate. He said, Margbot. He said, let's get her in on this. And I'm like, excellent, let's get her in on this.
Yeah, because I love dogs.
And you were terrific, by the way. Thank you so much. Karma is based on an actual dog who belongs to my cousin Brianna. So it was very important to me that
Okay.
it was very important to me that Karma find Brianna again, and she find her way to a good home, because in reality, that's how it works. So thank you so much for bringing that wonderful closure to the story.
No, thank you so much for including me. I really appreciate that. So let's say I wanted to read one of your works. I would contact you directly, or you just to clarify, or you usually reach out with, with Unit in mind?
Oh, if you wanted to read one of my stories online, you could just contact me either via Twitter or you could contact me via my email address, which is opinionatedviewer@outlook.com,
Yes,
and
I included
say,
it below, guys. To everybody listening, I included these things below. But sorry, go ahead.
oh, excellent. And you would say, hi, Tim. My name is so and so, and I'd be very interested in having one of your stories narrated on my channel. There was a young man named Jake, who also goes by Mr. Shadows. I think that's his YouTube name. He
Uh-huh.
reached out to me several months ago, I think back in September, and said, I'd very much like, my channel's just starting up, I'd very much like a story from you. And he gave me a donation, and I said, absolutely. And I wrote him a 10-page story, which he put up on his channel. So yeah, all you have to do is ask, and we'd make arrangements from there.
Okay. And do people usually come to you with an idea of what kind of story they want, or do you just have, this vault of stories that you're willing to share? How does that work?
Um, Jake had an idea for a story, and for Voicemails in the Dark with Eden, she also had an idea for a story. So they just pretty much gave me the seeds of a story, and I expanded upon it, and I wrote something based on their original idea.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right then. So I may be reaching out to you here soon with an idea.
Terrific.
How did you find the horror community on YouTube?
I believe I found it. I was fooling around on YouTube looking for, I think I was looking for a horror story about the black-eyed children
Oh.
a while back, just wasting time on YouTube. I was probably procrastinating doing something, and I just wanted to hear some scary stories. And I think I came across Phantom Librarian's channel. Phantom Librarian was my favorite narrator for the longest time before he unfortunately stopped. But I didn't realize there was a horror community, and I started exploring, and I found everyone else. I found all the big ones, Bee Busta, Lazy Masquerade, and so forth. And very fortunately, I found Unit and Eden, and I became very big fans. And I'm like, I want to just follow all of these people because they have some amazing stories, creepypastas and true encounters. I love their content, and this is just something I'd so much rather be listening to than, just all these really amateurish, really bland videos of people just pointing a camera and saying, look, there's a Bigfoot in my backyard.
I see. Okay. And basically from there, like you said, you met Unit, and now we have you, and we have Rake versus Dogman.
I did, yes. I met Unit in his own comment section for one of his stories. We had a bit of a back and forth conversation going on, and I asked him if I could send him one of my stories, a story that I had originally written just for my own enjoyment. I never intended it to go up online, and Unit was very gracious enough to look at it and narrate it for his channel, and that's how it's gone from there. And I'm
And
very
which
appreciative
story
for
was
him.
that?
That was a story called The Devil's Picnic, and you
Oh,
can
okay.
find it. You can find it on my list, my playlist of written by me. It's not a traditional creepypasta in the sense that it's not so much a horror story as it is an action thriller, but it involves demons and it involves, fallen angels. And I thought Unit might appreciate something a little bit outside the norm, and he did, and he put it up on his channel. Now, since then, he's taken down his original narration of it, and he's remastered it and put it up with Dr. Creepin Van Posten narrating it,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is a slightly better version because now there's multiple narrators. But that was my first ever story put up online.
How does it make you feel that you have these different voices bringing your work to life? Because I mean, a lot of, the narrators and voice actors in this community, they'll just do the entire thing on their own. But then you have, like Rake versus Dogman, you have different voices for it. I mean, are you a little bit more critical when there's more voices involved, or?
Oh, not at all. I feel incredibly lucky. I feel incredibly fortunate that all these extremely talented narrators are willing to be involved with my projects. Um, I'm always critical of myself. I'm an extreme perfectionist when it comes to my own work, but when it comes to everyone else, I'm just like, you know what? Try your best, and I'm gonna love it, I'm sure. It really makes me feel so appreciated, and it makes me feel very talented that people such as Unit 522 and Dr. Creepin Van Pasta and Mr. Sinister and Eden and Ghoulish Gal and countless others all took time out of their busy schedules to be involved with my stories without getting paid, just because they liked my story enough to be involved. And that made me feel very validated. It made me feel like, wow, maybe I am a really great author after all. So I feel nothing but gratitude and extreme fortune to all those people that they were involved.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I can imagine that it's an amazing feeling to have your work come to life like that instead of just reading it on a page.
I love how they've brought my stories to life. I've told this to several people. I said, you know what? People praise me all the time. They're like, "You're a very good author," and I said, "Thank you so much. I really appreciate that." But the fact of the matter is, if I had my own channel and I was just reading my own stories, just word for word in my own voice, they'd be probably very boring and people wouldn't enjoy them as much. But all these other narrators who bring emotion and bring personality to the characters and bring them to life, like radio theater, I'm like, that's really the spark, I think, that makes the stories pop. And I love everyone so much for their involvement in helping me get my stories out there.
You mentioned something that I was going to ask you about. Anyway, have you ever considered starting your own channel?
No, I really haven't. I mean, technically, I do have my own YouTube channel, and I think I have roughly about 140 followers, which is flattering since I've never posted one video of my own.
We're waiting.
I'm not,
Okay, we're waiting.
yes. I'm not very tech savvy. I don't know how to make my own videos or post my own videos. And even if I did, I'm not sure exactly what my channel would focus on. More than anything else, I just love to write. So Unit has told me several times that I have to start doing something with my channel. And I guess I agree. I probably should take advantage of that, and maybe I will eventually, but it's never been on the top of my list of priorities.
Okay. You know, I look forward if you ever choose to narrate something. I look forward to seeing it because I told you this before the interview, but your voice sounds so familiar to me, and I'm wondering if there's maybe another narrator in the community that reminds me of your voice. But you know, you definitely have a voice that could narrate, and obviously, if you were to narrate your own work, you know how you want it brought to life, so you would
Yes.
have the upper hand in that aspect.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. If you could meet any two narrators in this community in the next 12 months, who would they be and why?
Oh boy. Um, if I had my way, if I had enough money, I would just throw one big party for all of the horror narrators who have ever been involved in any of my stories, so I could meet them all face to face and shake their hand and just have a conversation with them and thank them. But if I had to limit it to two, um, the two I would limit it to would be definitely Unit 522, who I've spoken to plenty of times via Skype, but I've never met him in person. I'd love to kick back with him and have some beers and watch some horror movies and just chill. And number two would definitely be Eden, because Eden brought Murray, who is the I think personally the best character I've ever written, definitely my favorite character. Uh, Eden brought her to life so flawlessly, and it just always makes all the emotions when Murray goes through those trials in the story. She just breathed life into her so perfectly. I'd love to meet Eden face to face, hand her some flowers, and say thank you so much for making this character I care so much about, for doing her justice.
Well, I look forward to attending that party.
Yes, you're definitely invited. You're at the VIP table.
Aw. Do you have any plans of publishing your work into a book?
I do plan on self-publishing eventually. I want to get enough stories together, enough stories that I'm proud of that I know people will be interested in reading, picking up off the shelf and flipping through and reading and then reading again. Someone brought the idea of a graphic novel to my mind, which I think might work. I'm not a very gifted illustrator. But yes, one day I would absolutely love to have a published actual paperback book with my stories on it that you can buy at your local bookstore. I would be thrilled to have a collection of short stories. That would be a dream come true for me.
I'm sure that this community would love to have a book like that. I mean, I know that the creepy pasta book that's out there right now is incredibly popular. And I mean, if only more writers in this community would put out their content like that, it would be great. And I'm sorry, let me just say this for a second, but thank you so much, Taco Cat, for your donation. She said, sorry I couldn't watch the whole thing, Mark. I work all night tonight. Love you. And it was nice to finally meet you, Tim.
Oh, thank you, Taco
Thank you,
Cat.
Taco
Thank you for
Cat.
tuning in.
Really appreciate that. Of the stories you've written, which one is your favorite?
Oh boy. I'm gonna be biased and say of all my stories that I've written, Rake versus Dogman is definitely my favorite. It was the most challenging, being 5 parts long. It gave me the most sleepless nights, and I'm so proud of it. I really feel that it's my masterpiece. So it's definitely my favorite story. I'm proud of all of my stories, every single one that is on my Written by Me playlist, most of which you can find on Unit's channel. I'm proud of all of them. But my favorite is definitely Rake versus Dogman. I also am like a very close second favorite is Voicemails in the Dark by Eden. She narrated it, I wrote it, because that one is probably, of all my stories, is probably the easiest one to just go back and re-listen to over and over again. I've listened to it several times, and it's one of those stories that it's so easy to get drawn into, and I think she did such a great job with it.
Yeah, and I know we were talking about this before the stream, but that one, I mean, it's obviously not the size of Rake versus Dogman. And you, like you said, it's easy to go back and just listen to it, but you snuck something special in there into that story. Did you want to talk about that?
I will, sure, yes. I don't know how many people have listened to Voicemails in the Dark, but it has a double twist ending. Obviously, most people probably are aware that the first and most important twist ending is at the end. Spoilers. She is a vampire, and the villains are vampires. But there's a second twist ending, and that second twist ending is, which I didn't, to be honest, I didn't make it very, very clear. I made it kind of hard to find or discern that at the very beginning of the story, she is woken up by yawning very hard. She's awoken from an obnoxious dream by yawning very, very hard. And that's kind of, she makes reference that that's weird. Maybe it's sleep apnea, but that's how she wakes up. At the very, very end of the story, as she's bleeding out and lying on the dam, and she hears her boyfriend's voice in the distance, and her final thoughts are of him and how much she loves him. She yawns for a second time. And if you chose to, as the listener, if you chose to, you could see that as her waking up from another obnoxious dream to her boyfriend being right there next to her.
Which would make, I mean, in a way, like I told you before, before all the interview, it would make me feel a little bit ripped off, but at the same time, I feel like it would be heartwarming because of the fact that, the story with, not to give too much away, but, her boyfriend, like, is no longer with her.
Mm-hmm. I choose to view it as, me personally, as the person who wrote the story, I choose to view it as that is her dying thoughts. She's lying upon the dam thinking about her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yes, Unit, I see you in the comments. I did mention it. I did mention it before, but I'm going to mention it again. I'm going to thank you in person. Most of the stories that I've written, Candyman versus Slenderman, The Black Stag, Darcy, those have all come from Unit's original ideas and concepts, and I expanded upon them. And in most of my stories, I owe to Unit 522's original ideas. So Unit, thank you so much. You're a terrific idea man, and thank you for giving me a platform to tell these stories.
Happy now, Unit. Oh my goodness. If you could go back and change anything out of one of your stories, what would it be and why? Or
I
do you
have a
feel fully
story.
satisfied? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm about 95% fully satisfied. I have a story called Wrath, which was actually the story that the young man Jake, Mr. Shadows, asked me to write for him. Now, I promised him a 10-page story, and I delivered him a 10-page story, but I also gave him a deadline towards the end, and I was kind of under the gun, and I liked the way the story was going. But I try the ending of Wrath, the very end of it, like the last couple paragraphs, I wasn't very happy with it. I think it ended very kind of abruptly, and I was vague about exactly what happened. But I was trying to meet the deadline, and I was trying to keep the page count right. So if I could do it over again, I probably would have elaborated a little bit more on exactly what happened in the ending and what happened to Otis Black, the character. But really, that's really just a minor nitpick. It doesn't like keep me up at night or anything.
Okay. All right. It sounds like you're mostly pleased with all of your writing, which is good. Especially when you're a perfectionist, it can drive you insane. I know that. I know
Yes,
that feeling.
I'm very pleased with the stories. I am a perfectionist. I go back and reread over my work several times. Sometimes I delete whole sections and rewrite them when I'm not happy, because I want the story to be just something I'm very, very proud of, and I can just point to and say that was something I worked hard on and it came out well.
Yeah, it's got to be a fulfilling feeling. So, does anybody in the comment section have any questions for Tim? Or Tim, is there anything else that you wanted to address? I know that there was another question you wanted to discuss, and I think I missed it.
I did want to say that the short story Wrath is being made into a low budget
That's what it
horror
was.
movie. A producer in Alaska reached out to me via Twitter and said, would you be at all interested in writing a screenplay for this story, Wrath, which is it's a post-apocalyptic world where a lone survivor named Otis Black is wandering around rural Canada with his hockey stick sai. It's his makeshift weapon. And it's a zombie style story, but what makes it different, they're not zombies, but what makes them zombie-ish is that they don't bite you. They don't even have to touch you. If you make eye contact with them, you turn. They hypnotize you into becoming one of them, which is why Otis Black is forced to wear welder's goggles all the time. So that story is, I wrote a screenplay for that story. I expanded it on it quite a bit from what you'll find in the half-hour version on my playlist, because I had to add some characters and add some more plot elements to turn it into a 90-minute movie. But it's currently in development in Anchorage. They're shooting it. They've got the main characters casted, and hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully in about a year's time, you might see it out in Redbox, and it'll be called Wrath.
That's amazing. I look forward to that. Unit is asking, what's the mini series called, and what is it going to be about?
Yes. Before I mentioned that I was working on a choose your own adventure story with Unit. That is going to be about, it's very similar to Wrath. It's another post-apocalyptic world where a mercenary by the name of Merlin, who is part human, part enhanced robot, is wandering through the streets. And during the night, there are these creatures called blood fiends, which are these alien-like creatures who have more or less become the top of the food chain, who go out to hunt. And he is capable of taking them down because of his android machinery. And during the day, there are a group of kind of like scavengers. They're called the Reaper Squad, who are pretty much out there collecting whatever resources are left. fuel, food, and they've more or less made this tyrannical post-apocalyptic society, and he battles them during the day. So essentially the story is going to be at its core about survival. Is it better, the question of, is it better to stay alive if you have nothing to live for, or is what makes staying alive worth it is defending the defenseless? And it's going to be action packed, and there's going to be plenty of sci-fi elements. And like I said before, it's a choose your own adventure story. So at the end of every chapter, there's going to be an A option and a B option for the listeners to choose. So please tune in and pick the direction you want the story to go in.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, guys, let's see. Did I miss anything? Any questions? No, I don't think I missed any questions. Okay, well, I guess that concludes the interview portion of this stream. Everybody, thank you for coming. And thank you so much, Tim, for granting me this interview. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be involved.
No, like I said, at the beginning, I want to delve more into the creative minds that also help us, complete the work that we do in the horror community. And your name definitely comes up as somebody who is well known and respected for his writing in the community.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
It's an honor here too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And you were terrific. You're such a sweetheart, and you did great with the interview. Before we sign off, I'd like to give a very special thank you to my my best friend, whose name is Drew Hodgetts. He's my proofreader, and before I send anything to Unit, I always send it to him for him to look over and make suggestions and fix typos and things like that. So his input and his sacrifice means a lot to me. So thank you to Drew. Thank you to my very supportive family who listen to my stories as well, especially Gina. I don't know, you might be listening. Hello, Gina. Thank you so much to all the fans, anyone who's listened to any of my stories and commented and said something kind or supportive to me. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
I think it's really amazing that you are saying thank you. I mean, not to talk bad about any of the other people I've interviewed, but it's obvious that you know you're not doing this alone because you have all these people support you, and then you're going out of your way to thank them during this interview.
Oh God,
so it's very sweet of you.
The only way I've gotten to where I am today is through the support of so many people, friends, family, and countless other people in the horror community on YouTube. So thank you all so much for being there for me. I appreciate it.
Unit wants more about upcoming stories.
Okay, well, to be very brief, we already mentioned
no rush, like I said.
We already mentioned Merlin the Merc, which is going to be a choose your own adventure story. There's another story that Unit said would be coming out next week, which I wrote for him, which is based on his original idea, called Worm, W-U-R-M, which is a horror story about a creature who invades someone's condo. I think it came out very well, and it's very creepy. That's done, and I've turned it into him, and so now it's all on him to get it up next week, like he said he would. And then beyond that...
hurry up, Unit. God, you're lagging.
Beyond that, there is another creepypasta called 6 of 6, which is a horror story about a serial killer that's coming out, which is again based on an idea Unit had, and it's going to be starring Lady White Rabbit.
Oh, sounds fun. I like serial killers.
So, yep, be on the lookout for all three of those: 6 of 6, Worm, and Merlin the Merc.
You're so versatile in what you write about, because I feel like most authors that I've noticed, they stick to, okay, well, I'm going to write about potentially real life stuff like serial killers and stuff. But, you've done the cryptids, and now you're doing serial killers, and you've done the vampires. So you're just, you're full of all sorts of ideas.
Thank you.
Unit.
Thank you.
Yes,
I
Unit,
appreciate
I like serial killers.
I like the challenge. I love being able to write about different things. I like trying it out and seeing, am I going to be able to make a really good story out of this? I'm always up for the challenge. I don't think there's ever been anything that unit has presented to me that I said, no, I won't do it. I think there have been things where I said, I don't think I could write a good story, but I'd be willing to try.
Yes, unit. I am a sicko, apparently, according to you. Sorry, I had to address that.
Unit, I hope you're going to plug this interview on your channel, man.
He told me he was,
Okay, excellent.
no pressure, but he said he was. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Creepy Tales Corner said, Tim, I just wrote my very first short story. I just posted the video. How did you start? I'm very late to the stream. Creepy Tales Corner, he actually addressed that in the beginning, but I don't know if you want to give you want to tell it again.
To be very, very brief, I got my start interacting with the horror narrators online. Go to your favorite horror narrators' videos, leave comments, leave constructive criticism, leave praise. You might have to try a few times. If you get their attention and they respond to you in the comment section, good. That's the start of a relationship. Let them know that you're let them know that you're an author and you're an aspiring author. Send them stories if they have a link for stories. Don't get dissuaded. Don't get disappointed if you don't hear back from them right away, or if they don't like your work. They say you still need time to mature as a writer. Don't let any of that stop you, because you should be writing for you, not for anyone else, for your enjoyment. That's what matters most. And that's what ultimately got me to where I am today. I didn't write for anyone else, just for myself.
I want to add a little bit of a caveat, I guess you could say, to that, from a narrator perspective.
Okay.
If you're an aspiring author in this community, please don't send the same story to 10 different narrators at the same time. It creates problems for us, especially because we all talk amongst each other. I mean, for you, Tim, you have unit's like your main guy. But I've talked, to my other narrator friends, and some people have a tendency to send the same exact story to like 10 different narrators, and it's a problem when we all release the story at the same time. So yeah,
that's a very good point.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a problem. I understand that you share your story.
Don't spam all of these different narrators. Send it to the narrator you admire the most or think would be the best suited for your story. And if you either don't hear back from them after a certain period of time, or if they just reject your proposal, just keep moving on.
Yeah, exactly. Or at least, let us know that you are submitting this to different people. I think maybe, and this doesn't have to be like the way to do it, but I think I would recommend just having your work somewhere posted out there, and then just linking narrators to it and saying, hey, look, this is basically these are my stories, and if you would like to narrate any one of them, please do. Something like that, where we're not all confined to the same story, and then it gets released. Because I had an incident with two friends where one has a medium-sized channel and the other one was just starting out, and the same story got sent to both of them, and they both released it like one day apart, and it was just kind of a nightmare because obviously, people are going to be exposed more to the medium-sized channel versus the person who just started out. So
yes, that's true. I like to support the smaller channels with more exclusive content. That way they can only find it there, and that channel gets the attention.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Oh, Little Wicked is also another writer in the community, as well as Sinister Soul. And yeah, he said, yeah, if a narrator is talking to you about a story and another shows interest in the same story, let them know that someone else is looking at it too. Okay. All right, guys. Any other questions for Tim while we have him here? Live and in color. Well, technically. Because, I mean, with the other narrators, I feel like you just go comment on their stuff and it's easy to interact. Whereas, I mean, yeah, you're on Twitter, but because you're not active on your channel, it's not as easy to pick your brain.
Yes, that's true. Well, you can always, if you have a question for me, you can always, like I said, you can email me or you can contact me on Twitter, and I'm happy to engage in conversation with anyone who has any questions about my stories or my writing or anything like that. Saying.
He said that happened to a bunch of narrators with Warm Sweater by Chris Maxim around Valentine's Day.
I don't know what that means.
It was a story that was passed around, and about 3 or 4 different channels posted the same story. But I feel
like okay.
Yeah. I feel like part of the issue with that one was also that one was kind of themed that way where it would fit Valentine's Day, if I recall correctly. And see, that's why I just chose to do a pickup lines video and just be silly and not do an actual story.
Gotcha.
I don't think you've seen that, Tim. But so for Valentine's Day, because like I told you before, I like to bring out the personalities of the narrators, not just, you know, the narrators themselves. So I contacted a few narrators, both big and small units actually in it. And I told them, listen, would you be willing to read these 2 pickup lines for my video? Because that's what I'm going to do for Valentine's Day. Because I just think, you know, the viewers would enjoy it. And they all did. And it was all hilarious. So yeah, if you haven't checked that out, check it out, guys. Because it shows us not being scary.
Another really quick thing, if we have time, I want to plug a few movies. People sometimes point out that my story, Rake versus Dogman, reminds them a lot of the movie Aliens by James Cameron and the movie Dog Soldiers by Neil Marshall. And I do pretty shamelessly pick little details from both those movies. They're 2 of my all-time favorite, not even horror movies, but movies in general. If you have not seen those 2 movies, Aliens from 1986 and Dog Soldiers from 2002, and you enjoyed Rake versus Dogman, please watch both of those movies. They're classics.
Is that okay? So you said that you took pieces of that. So that helped inspire.
Yes, both of those movies heavily inspired Rake versus Dogman. You could see, like, for example, there were a couple lines of dialogue from both movies that were used in Rake versus in Dogman. The notion of being trapped in a cabin, fighting for survival, the relationship Murray has with her mother, everything is very heavily inspired from those 2 movies. The actual plot line is completely unique, but I spiced it up with some elements of those movies. So if you enjoyed Rake versus Dogman, please watch those movies because they're classics.
I will have to check those out because I don't think I've ever heard of either one of those before.
Oh, really? Oh, man, they're both excellent. And they're both horror movies that don't rely on CG, all practical effects, and they're both classics. So yeah, definitely Netflix them.
Gotcha. Yeah, Axeman is saying Aliens is better than most movies. And let's see. And Unit said I improved dialogue and paid tribute to Aliens.
Yes.
With Jason's character.
That's true. That's true. Yes, Unit, thank you so much for being such a terrific Jason Ford and having such a terrific Southern redneck accent. You did a terrific job, my friend.
Wait, are you talking about the Alien series? Or is this a different movie? Because I know there's also an Aliens movie that's part of that series.
There's the series of movies that started out with Alien by Ridley Scott in the 70s, and the sequel to that with Sigourney Weaver is called Aliens, and that's by James Cameron.
Yeah, I have seen it. Okay, sorry. It didn't click that you were talking about the same thing. Sorry about that. No, definitely seen that.
Okay. It's okay. Go back and rewatch it because it's worth a rewatch.
Axeman, oh my gosh. Axeman said, was there a part in Rake versus Dogman where Rake fights Dogman in a giant mechanical suit?
No, that would have been a little bit too on the nose, but it definitely would have been funny.
Well, that would have been Unit's part, you know. We all know how he loves his cyborgs.
Yes, I do know. I do know, yes.
It's okay. He's Uncle Unit. He gets away with it.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, is there anything else you wanted to share, Tim? No rush.
No, I think that covers all the bases. Thank you all so much for listening to my stories. Thank you for supporting the channels of all the narrators involved, including Margbot and Units. Please check out those movies I mentioned. Please check out Lindsay Sterling. And please, please, everyone, be nice to each other. No trolling in the comments. Can we all just get along, please? If you don't agree with something, just, let it slide. It's small potatoes, guys. Just be nice to each other.
Just be kind, everyone. Just be
Yes,
kind.
please just be kind.
Yeah, no, I agree. People need to be a little bit kinder sometimes, especially like you said in the comment sections of videos.
Yes. Give the small channels your love. Give them your attention. Because just because they're small doesn't mean they're not talented. It just means that they're just getting started or they haven't found the right crowd yet, but they'll get there. And please support Margbot's channel because she's absolutely lovely.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. It's okay though, because apparently, according to my comment section, I sound like a 12-year-old boy, and I'm totally okay with that.
I disagree with that entirely, but
Oh my gosh.
okay. Oh, and
No,
there's my sister Gina. Hi, Gina.
oh, hi, Gina. Aw, she missed the shout out. He shouted you out, Gina, just so you know. No, it's just some of the things I see sometimes on the comment sections of people. I'm just like, really? And then sometimes some of the comments that I get, I'm just like, I kind of just laugh most of them off. I mean,
Yeah,
90%
well,
of them, I just laugh them
that's
off.
all. That's all you can do. I've only had one experience with a troll, and that was on the Burning Man story, where someone tried to tear me down and say I had no idea what I was doing, and I just kept laughing. I said, "Dude," I said, "you're making a valiant attempt, but you're not bothering me at all." And I just kept laughing it off until he eventually just deleted the whole thread.
Oh, wow. You know you've won when they delete the entire thread.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
So it was fun, though. It was fun to have an interaction with a troll. It's not something I ever need to do again, but I did it once and it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I will completely come clean and say that I kind of feed the trolls a little bit just because I'm bored or something. But yeah. Miss Monster said, "You are not a 12-year-old boy, Mark. You're a pretty lady." Aw, see, this is the kind of stuff I know sounds lame, but this is the kind of stuff that keeps me going. This community is the fact that people are also very kind. I mean, I do get like one or two hateful comments here or there, but then
Yes.
I get like I don't know, entire paragraphs just telling me just how great I am, and I'm like, wow, you guys really feed my ego
Yes.
here.
Yes. You're
So,
terrific at what you do and keep doing it. You have my support.
oh, thank you. It really does mean a lot, that you guys tell me that you enjoy these interviews and listening to them and being a part of them, because it's what makes my channel different. I mean, there's so many channels out there that are narrating and voice acting and things like that. And I think, who was it? A couple of weeks ago, I interviewed Dylan from Top 15s, and he said, "My advice to you is do something that makes you unique in this community." And this is my thing, the interviews. And when I found out that the people who are part of them that I interview enjoy it so much, it it's kind of heartwarming to me, I guess you could say, because I'm doing something different and I'm also doing something you guys enjoy, both listening to and being a part of. So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, I went on my little rant there.
No, it's absolutely fine. I think you're doing what you enjoy and what you're good at, and it's your own little niche. And I think you're doing a great job, and I hope you keep it up.
Thank you. Let's see. Tall tale. Who would troll Margbot? What is this world coming to? Thank you, Laniva. Robot racist. Yes. Yes, the people who are mean to me are robot racists.
Okay, I have a fun question for you, Marg. Who
Uh-huh.
is your favorite robot ever, whether from movies or
Optimus
TVs or
Prime.
what? There
You
you
didn't even have to
go.
finish that sentence. Optimus Prime.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, he is my favorite. I mean, I've been a
He's
huge
got a
fan.
great voice.
Definitely. I've been a huge fan of everything robotic because of the Transformers since I was a kid, because I grew up with them. So that's why you guys have Markbot here. It's because of Optimus Prime. Um, Frank plays, "Are you ever going to interview Corpse?" So Frank, that's actually up to Corpse. as you guys know, Corpse has been dealing with some personal issues like his health recently. So I mean, I'm not even pushing that. He was on one of my streams, I think like a month or two ago, just hanging out with us, but nothing stressful or anything like that. But if I ever do get to interview Corpse, I will let you guys know. Leniva, Margbot Prime. I wish. Oh, let's see. Did you want to shout your sister out again now that she's here? So she knows.
Yes. My sister Gina, thank you so much for being such a loyal fan and for being such a sweetheart. She just graduated high school and is going into the National Guard. So congratulations, Gina. I'm so proud of you.
Her. Oh, Rachel S. actually asked, what's your favorite creepypasta?
My favorite creepypasta is probably, I forget who wrote it, but is called The Showers.
Oh, that's such a popular pasta.
Yes.
That's one of those where, like I said, it's a piece of literature on its own. I don't really think it's just a creepypasta.
I remember it was definitely the first creepypasta where I went back and listened to it a second time because I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't get it out of my head. There's been a handful of creepypastas that I've listened to that I've liked a lot. But I would say, yeah, that one's definitely my favorite.
Gotcha. Okay. It's a long one. I think I've only heard it once. That's one that someday, if I feel talented enough, I would like to do. But definitely not there yet. That one, and what is it? It's not Paranoia. What's it called? There's another really popular one that is maybe it is called Paranoia. It's very long, and I think it was actually turned into a book that I want to do someday, but I just don't feel like I'm talented enough yet.
Oh, and by the way, I'm sure you're talented, by the way, Marg, but by the way, people keep asking me in the comments to write more versus stories. They tell me to do this versus this and this versus this. And I'm open to a lot of it. I don't want to become an exclusive versus author, but I am open to more versus stories in the future. However, stop asking me to write about Jeff the Killer, because Jeff the Killer is probably my absolute least favorite creepypasta, and he's my least favorite internet's icon, and I have no interest in writing about him, so I will not.
Internet high five.
Thank you.
Because I feel the same.
Thank you.
I feel the same. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. It gives this community a bad name, in my opinion, but that's just me. Sorry.
Okay.
If you love it.
if you like it, that's fine. I'm glad that you like it. I just don't.
Say.
I don't
either. I don't either. I'm a very opinionated person. I think most people who've heard my streams know that. And it's okay if other people like something I don't like. It doesn't mean like I hate you or anything. It's just I'm very set on the things I like and that I don't like.
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely fine. And if anyone wants to contact me and say, hey, I didn't enjoy your story for this reason or this reason or this reason, I'm not going to be offended. I'm going to be like, well, thank you for sharing. As long as it's not hateful. Thank you for sharing. I'm always open to constructive criticism. I want to know what people think. So
yeah, definitely. Same here. Little Wicked said Jeff the Killer versus the establishment. So are there any versus stories that have really caught your eye that you think may be the next one that you make of that type?
I plan on, this is a project for well into the future because I've got so many in my immediate future I'm working on, but I'm thinking of writing Bigfoot versus Chimera in the future for my next versus story.
That's really interesting.
That one was also a seed of an idea from Unit, and that's the next versus story I plan on doing. But that one's probably still a while away, so
okay. So don't hold your breath quite yet.
Don't hold your breath quite yet.
Gotcha. Okay. All right then. Okay, guys, any other questions?
That might be it.
I think that may be it. All right, then, everyone, have a good evening. And once again, Tim, thank you for granting me this interview. And I believe Unit said that he's going to post this on his channel. So I guess look out for that.
All right.
And
Terrific. Thank you so
have
much, Margbot, for having me. I had a lot
oh
of
no, of
fun.
course. It's been great. And I mean, you are just such a nice guy.
Oh,
You know,
thank you.
that's a requirement to being on my interviews is you have to be a nice person.
Thank you.
You can't
Thank
be
you so
super
much.
snooty. But yeah, I mean, I look forward to seeing, what else you come up with. Because I do enjoy your stories. I enjoy the level of detail that you put into them. And if you haven't checked out Tim's stories, guys, there's actually a playlist below in the description that has all of the work that's been narrated by other people in the community and that he's written. So check that out definitely. And I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, everyone, for listening.
See you guys next week. I'm going to interview Black Eyed Blonde next Friday, actually. So I will see you guys then. Have a fantastic weekend. Margbot out.